So thank you so much for joining us on Let the Healing Begin podcast. I'm your host, Asia, and today we have Reginald on with us. How are you doing?
Doing good, Asia. Doing good. So glad to be on your show.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you for making time.
Absolutely.
So let's start with where you're from.
I'm from Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay, born and raised?
Yes.
Okay. You have siblings?
I have a little sister and a little brother.
Okay. So let's go back to like childhood for you. How was that growing up?
Well, childhood, Asia, it was kind of tough. I grew up in a single parent home. When I say I had a little brother, I had a brother that was through a marriage my dad had, but my mom and I, she was a single parent, and it just me and my little sister. And when I was growing up, my mom had like 10 siblings. It was 11 of them. And we come from a very religious family. Well, I won't say very, but real religious, I guess you could say. And they would say things to me like I would never amount to anything because I was the one born out of wedlock. So throughout all my life, I kind of carried that with me. It was kind of tough. I remember times they wouldn't even give me the hand-me-downs when my mom was asking for and things like that because I was just that kid, that I guess so-called black sheep of the family. But I thank God for my grandfather. He was more my mentor. He kept things grounded, and he taught me hard work. He taught me discipline. He taught me all the stuff that I needed to know. Now, my mom and dad did reunite when I was 29 and 30 years old, and they got married, and they're still married to the day, and I'm 51 years old. But I think it was God's plan for my grandfather to actually be the man in my life instead of my father at that time.
Yeah. And you know what? So that's one thing that God has revealed to me. Like sometimes we don't, like the people that are born, like the family that we're born into, sometimes like our mom or our dad won't fulfill their role necessarily, but he will align us with other people in our life to fulfill those roles, so that we don't have that void, whether it be like a grandparent or someone else, so that we're not lacking that, so that's good that you still ended up with like a father figure, to fulfill your need.
Absolutely. He's the one that really kept me grounded and things like that when I was going through all of that stuff and hearing that from family members. It's kind of crazy for somebody to tell you that as a kid. I remember one time we were at my grandparents' house for a family barbecue, and everybody packed up and said they was gonna run to the mall real quick and come back. And I remember everybody was packing up and getting in the cars. My cousins were getting in the cars with my aunts and things like that. So I just went to try to get in the car and go with them. And one of my aunts said, "Where do you think you're going? You're not going with us." So they packed up the car. My grandfather, he saw the whole thing. He walked outside and he was like, "Hey, if he can't go, nobody can go."
I know that's
But at the end of the day, they were grown and married, and they was like, "We can do what we want to do basically at the end of the day." So they left and left me out in the yard.
Wow.
And my mom was like telling my granddad, she was like, "Dad, it's okay. So my grandfather, he was a pastor. He built his own churches. He was had his own business, had a convenience store with a meat market in it right beside the house. He reached in his pocket and he gave my mom like this wad of cash. And he was like, "Take this boy to the mall and get him anything he want." So here I am in the mall passing my cousins, and I got all these bags of stuff. They look at me like, "What in the world did you get all this stuff from, man?" So it was kind of crazy. It really changed who I was in life, and I realized that, hey, you have to accept life the way it is. You in this thing alone, man, you got to figure it out. And then I had to end up doing things in my life that was necessary that young people at my age wouldn't have done, because I had to work, and I had to, at 13 years old, we went to Burger King one time, and I remember before we went to Burger King, like a couple nights, I think about a week earlier, my mom came home from work. My mom worked like 3 jobs and went to school and played for like 7 choirs in the church. And she came home and fed me and my sisters like 2 pieces of chicken there. And it was like, "Mom, you ain't gonna eat?" And she was like, "No, I had a big lunch," which I knew that wasn't the truth. It just wasn't enough food.
Yeah.
So we ended up one day went to Burger King. We don't go to Burger King probably four months, every 4 months or something like that. We didn't have the money. And we go in Burger King, and I'm 13 years old, and the manager had the hots for my mom. So he started talking to my mom. I said, well, let me play this dude. So I told him, I said, hey man, I said, I need a job. And my mom was like, you too young to work. You're just 13 years old. And the guy said, hey, if you sign a waiver, he can come in here and work. So my mom was against it. And I said, hey, I pulled her to the side and I said, Mom, I said, listen, I said, I saw the other night that you went to bed home. I said, that'll never happen again. I need you to sign this waiver for me. Mm. And she said, as long as your grades stay, good in school, I'll do it. So I did it. So I just worked at Burger King when I got out of school, brought the money I had, brought it home, and just to help keep food on the table.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, like growing up, because, like so many people acted different towards you. Did you ever feel resentment towards any of like your cousins and stuff?
No, I didn't. I didn't feel any resentment. I was still cool with them. I mean, I didn't understand it, but I put myself in like, hey man, this is your fight when it's all said and done. Now, I did carry some type of chip over my shoulders. I was not mad at them. My thing was, I was not going to make them right about what they said about me. That was the whole thing. So I had to grind through life to make sure I'm going to be the one better than what they say I was going to be. And that was my whole motivation. And my grandfather, he pushed me. He wasn't but I used to go stay with him in the summertime. When you got to get up in the mornings, just because you out of school. It ain't no 9 or 10 o'clock getting out of bed. You up, dressed at 7 o'clock in the morning, eating breakfast. We got to open the store at 8 o'clock in the morning. And do the things we got to do at the store. So he kept me rooted when it comes to grinding and things like that. And I think that's why I am who I am today.
That's awesome. Let me ask you this. I know that you mentioned a moment ago, like your dad was married outside of like, your mom. How did you feel about that growing up?
It really didn't bother me too much. I did have moments in my life where I felt like, I would think about it and was like, hey man, this dude, he's not in my life like he should be. He don't spend the time with me like he should be. But I understood that, with my grandfather, he kind of just like overwhelmed. It was just like, even if my dad probably would have tried to be in my life, I probably wouldn't even deal with it. I'd rather be with my grandfather when it's all said and done. So I didn't feel any remorse about it. I just took life like this is the way it is. Yeah. We grew up poor, Asia, and I'm telling you, it brought on so much stuff in our lives that one time I was in school and this guy just came to me, and I think when you poor, people will just bully you. So this kid came to school. I think I was in middle school, I think it was. He came to school. I had a brand new pair of shoes that my mom had bought. They was knockoff pair of shoes that wasn't no name brand. I think we paid $15 for these sneakers. And it had been raining that day. So we switching classes going, through the wet grass and the rain, the mud and stuff like that. So I'm picking my feet up, trying not to mess my shoes up. And this kid came to me and he called me poor. He just went ballistic or whatever, just saying all kind of stuff. Did he spit in my face? And then he stepped on my new shoes and scuffed them up with mud and everything else. Now, I'm not a man, I don't condone violence. But that day, he got what he asked for.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I was just gonna ask, did you knock his head off?
Yeah, he got dealt with. But the thing about it, in my mind, I realized, I said, man, being poor, I'm gonna go through this. And I felt like I had a little sister that was 2 grades behind me in school. And I'm like, if I don't stand up, they're going to go after her, and everything else. So I think when I made that statement, it kind of made people think twice about, bullying us or anything like that.
Absolutely. Now, let's say we have listeners, because I always talk to my child about the importance of treating people right, and like you never know what somebody's going through. Can you kind of go deep on like how that made you feel and the importance of like raising our children to treat others, other children right?
Yeah, it made me feel, really, really bad. I felt like I was less than, even though I'm going to the school, I got some friends there, but I felt like I was just an outcast because just the way I was treated. And you can look at the world today, there's so many kids now just commit suicide because they've been bullied or been treated wrong in life. And you always, man, people have to understand, and parents got to understand, you got to treat your kids. I mean, you got to tell your kids to treat people the way they're supposed to be treated. Because at the end of the day, we all human beings. At the end of the day, we are all not perfect. Some people got dealt a better hand than some, but at the end of the day, we're still in a fight.
Absolutely. And we all go through, like, we're all going through something. It might look different for some of us and, than what it do for others. But like you said, none of us are perfect, So let me ask you this. I know you started working early. Like, how old were you when you actually got out on your own?
When I got out on my own, I was, I think, 20. I was 20 years old when I got out on my own. 19 or 20, somewhere around there.
Okay. And you had graduated high school and all that?
Yeah. So in high school, it's still, I'm still trying to help mom out since she's still a single parent. We're still doing the thing. In high school, I kind of went to another level, man, because I was working 3 jobs in high school.
Wow.
And to tell you how old I am, I drove the school bus in high school. Went out to high school. I got off the school bus. I went back groceries at the local grocery store. And then I used to pull orders for Coca-Cola on the weekends, where you go around to all the grocery stores and pull the product out of the back and fill up the shelves. Yeah, I did that all through high school, when I'm trying to bring the money home, trying to help. I had to do what's necessary. That's it. I wasn't about, everybody like poor me, I can't hang with my friends and things like that. At the end of the day, that's with anybody. I don't care how old you are. Life will deal you a hand, and you got to do what's necessary, and you got to play it right.
Absolutely. And it was something good that you just said a minute ago, because like when we find ourselves in these situations, right, it's one or two ways that you can go. You can either kind of take on that victim mentality, or you can become a victor. Like, you can just fight through and keep pushing, or you could just take that, like you said, woe is me attitude. And it's like, life is still gonna go on either way, right? So why not like make the best out of every situation and fight back,
That's it. I think people don't understand that they talk about blessings. You're not blessed because everything went right, because it didn't. You're blessed because you still got to fight inside of you.
Oh, that's good. That's real good. So when you had gotten out on your own, like, what did you do first?
Well, what I did basically, I just worked. I worked. I was married. Marriage did not work, and things like that. And I ended up one day going through a series of just letdowns all my life. I had a bad run for a minute, and it was kind of crazy to the point I was suicidal. I had picked the date and the time that I was going to blow my brains out of my head. So with that being said, I'm gonna tell you how good God is, because I remember a dream that God showed me. And he showed me this dream 3 nights straight, and it woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 nights straight. And I was licensed as a minister, but God was showing me, because everybody was like, hey, because I come from a generation of pastors and stuff like that. Everybody was like, hey, I think they were thinking the ultimate call to be a pastor of a church. But this dream was, I heard myself speaking to people, but I saw a white church, but I saw a multitude of people outside of the church in the field. And I dreamed that 3 nights straight. So, make a long story short, my mission and what God has me doing, I'm reaching people outside of the church right now. And that's what he was trying to show me. Don't fall for that. Because what happened was, I had, I think, a couple of opportunities where somebody wanted me to be their pastor. They called and wanted me to be their pastor because my family had a good name when it come to that. Got turned down because the board asked me, was I married? I said, no, I'm not married. After they pretty much offered me the job, the position. And they was like, well, we got to go back to the board. And the board said, no, you can't be our pastor because you ain't got a wife.
But you know what that is? That's God stopping you from, going and entering into the wrong door, right?
Right.
Because some of us might have street ministries and outreach, stuff
right.
like that. Like ministry is not just within the walls of the church, right?
Yeah, you're right. Because my thing is, okay, I was raised around pastors. I know how to do the church thing. I'm not worried about that. But me, I'm the raw guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm the raw guy. I'm the street guy. I'm the street minister guy. I'm the outreach guy. I mean, that's who I am. But the crazy part about it is back up to the suicidal part about it. I was laying on the couch one day, and like I say, I had the date and time. On the very next day, I was going to blow my brains out of my head. So I get up and I go to the bathroom. And when I used the bathroom, I looked at a mirror and the voice just spoke to me. And God was like, you can't do this to yourself. He said, what about all those people I sent to you in that dream? What are they going to do? I got an assignment for your life. If you kill yourself, what are these people going to do? You can't do this. And next thing you know, Asia, I went into a deep sleep. I mean, I had never slept that good ever before in my life. But when I woke up, I didn't have any more of those suicidal thoughts, none of that anxiety or anything like that, because my assignment had power over my situation.
Yeah.
And that's how I came through it. I thank God for it. And I've been pushing ever since.
That's amazing. That's so good. That's so good. And you know what? Like the enemy, he wants us to take our lives, right? Because it's the thing, when you are chosen, right? And I know that you're chosen because, like, look at your childhood. You've been outcasted and stuff like that. So I know that God chose you and he showed you, like where he's taking you to. And the thing with the enemy is he know that he himself he can't stop God's plans and God's promises, right? And so the way that he moves is he wants to trick us into taking our own lives, and taking, us doing it ourselves, because he know that he can't do it himself. He can't kill us. He can't take us out, And so it's like, since I can't do it, let me get into your mind and have you do it yourself,
Right. Exactly. And the crazy part about it, you're talking about being chosen. I remember my grandmother telling a story that when I was born as a baby, I guess we stayed at my grandparents' house. My mom stayed at my grandparents' house when I was first born. And my grandfather would have me on his shoulders, walking me around the house, and he had his hands laid on me. And my grandmother told him to put that baby down, let him go to sleep. And my grandfather responded, he said, you don't even know what I'm doing. He said, I'm anointing him right now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Man.
That's my dude.
Wow. Is your grandfather still alive?
No. He died. When did Papa die? I think he died back in 2009. Yeah, he was 90 years old. And my grandma, she passed away first, but they was married for like 60 years.
Wow. That's amazing. And I'm really grateful that God spoke to you right when he did, and that not only that God spoke, because he's always speaking, it's just up to us to be listening, right? But that, like, you heard that word at that time, and that you're still here, and you hear like and alive to talk about it,
Exactly. And I really love that part of my testimony, and I tell everybody, it came a time in my life that I had two people living in my house. I had the weak me and I had the strong me. The weak me kept showing up until one night I got fed up and I looked in the mirror. I said, one of us got to lead tonight.
Mm.
Be the strong me. I said, the weak me got to go.
I know
And once I spoke that thing and gravitated to it, everything just started happening.
I love that. I like that. I like
so
that.
that's that's just the way it is. And then after that, I started having working a job, ended up having an amazing career, and I started actually, I think I relocated like 5 times in 10 years, and get promotions left and right. Money's good, everything's good, and everything was happening. But the thing about it, I'll tell anybody, it didn't happen for me if I didn't have the grind. You got to have the grind. I had to pack up everything. I left family, people I'm familiar with, went to cities I didn't know what was what, didn't know anybody. Go to a facility and I worked one facility, I worked 7 days a week for 14 months straight. Lived 20 minutes from the beach and never saw it in 14 months.
Wow. And you know what? The fact that you can pack up and move like that speaks volumes about like your level of faith, knowing that if I take this, because sometimes like God will show us, sometimes God will tell us, okay, pack up and go here. And a lot of us will not do that because we'd be, how am I pay for this? How am I do that? And then God is sitting back like, just take the step. I already got all that figured out. That's already worked out. All you got to do is just get there. I'm already there waiting on you, And so the fact that you can like take those steps to experience that, like, that's awesome.
And that's the thing about it. When people realize that God's he's never behind you. He's always 5 steps ahead of you. He waiting on you. He waiting on you to show up.
Yep. And
if that's what I feel in my life. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this today. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm just like that. I have a different drive about me. And like I said, I still used to hear that voice in my head said I never amount to anything. And I think I let this thing go about 3 or 4 years ago, about 4 years ago when I married my wife. I kind of let it go. All the time I would hear it. Even when I was losing, I would hear it. When I was winning, I was hearing it. I'm like, I got to be better. I got to be this. I got to be that. I will not let them be right about me, right. And things like that. And the funny part about it now, they look at me like, man, this dude, he the only one in the whole family ever built the house. He's the only one in the family got this. And they tripping on me just a little bit now, but but they asked me, said, man, he said, what did you do? I said, I rose up.
I know that's right.
That's all I did. I rose up. So
I know that's right.
Because people could keep telling you that you're gonna be less than. They keep telling you never amount to anything. If you keep hearing that and you believe that about yourself, it will tear your life apart.
Yeah.
It will tear your life apart.
Yeah.
You gotta understand you are here for a reason. And when you're going after things in life, remember why you started.
Yeah. And then I literally in my bathroom have written on my bathroom mirror, I'm something about like, I'm coming for everything that they said I couldn't have. Prove them to be liars. Prove them to be liars. Everybody that says you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. It's really personal. It's really personal.
Yeah, it really is. And then we got to understand, you got to take that and not have any ill feelings about it. Yeah. And it's nothing but fuel. Let it ignite you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let me ask you this, because a lot of us are under this religious slumber, right? And until you are shown the truth, right? Or until you awaken from the religious slumber, like, you think that that's the way to go, right? Because I speak from experience on that. So like growing up, I grew up in church, and I thought that you literally had to be in a church house to be in communion with God and be in a relationship with God. But what God has shown me recently is that he's pulling a lot of us out of the churches, right? For multiple reasons, number one being like the fact that Sunday is not the true genuine Sabbath. It's actually on Saturdays. But outside of that, like, he's also shown me that the church house is not where people need the most healing, right? It's the people that are in the streets, people that are in the prisons, people that are in the low places, right? So will you speak to, let's say we have a listener that feel like they have to be in a church house, or, you know, sometimes you will feel God tugging at your heart and you're unsure if it's God because it's out of the norm of what you used to, right? Let's say we have listeners that are like, what? I don't, you know, that don't understand that your ministry can be outside of a church house. Like, what would you say to those listeners?
I would say, now I like church. I like the church I go to, you know, but here's the thing. Church, people go to church to worship God and all this stuff. They say whatever. But what I'm confused about a lot of times, if you know God, you have a relationship with God, that's all you're really supposed to have. Now, here's the thing. When you look at God, Jesus said, I came to give you life and give you that more abundantly. Your life should be better. Your life should be on, you know, another level when you walk in, and if you walk into what God has for you. God has something special for you. You have a special gift. You have a special anointing. When you walk in that kind of stuff, then and walking what God has for you, that's when things start happening. That's when doors start opening. Because what I don't get is a lot of people go to church, and I've heard this. They go to church and say, hey, man, the pastor sure did preach, and I shouted all over that church. But then you walk back out that door and you're lost in life. So, you know, what is that about? So you have to understand, your relationship with God is between you and God at the end of the day. But you just got to understand that he wants more for your life, and he wants more for your life through giving and going out there helping people, you know, that's out in the streets, just going through stuff. You know, I remember back home when I was part of the outreach ministry, I was on a date one night downtown in my city. We were just walking one night, and all these homeless people started coming down the street, and they was, you know, coming out, and you know, they hang out downtown, and everybody was calling me by name. Hey, Reggie. Hey, what's up, Reggie? And she was like, how do you know all these people? I said, because I hang out with them. I come down here, I hang out with them, I take them to get something to eat, or whatever the case may be. I said, I don't come down here to hang out with everybody, ball hopping and doing all that kind of stuff. I come hang with them. You know, and you don't understand who you are talking to. You know, I think one of the most life-changing things in my life, and somebody spoke into my life, was through a homeless guy sitting on a bench one day eating a hot dog. So that's the part about life that we miss, especially as, you know, church-going people. You know, you just want to go to church, get your feel good on, and then going back to the house. You know, it's bigger than that. Mm-hmm. It's bigger than that, you know. And then you live in a life beneath for what God has for you. You know, people talking about, you know, prosperity and all that kind of stuff. Some people don't think people are supposed to be prosperous, you know, being a Christian. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't believe in all that. Now, I don't sit around listening to people preaching prosperity messages all day. I don't get into that. For me, I don't get into it. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, God gave me power to get wealth. You know, I don't look for people to put me in position. I put myself in position.
Yeah. God gives us, because you know what? It's something that you just hit on. Like, God won't, I mean, sometimes he'll send people to bless us and stuff, but what I've noticed about God is he gives us the knowledge to produce, you know, the wealth, the knowledge to start the business, or to do this, or to take the steps that he's putting in front of you to take to produce the wealth, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And once you realize that, then you'll really understand God. So I don't think a lot of people really understand who God is and what he is really up to. Yeah. In your life, you know. Yeah. You really need to go check this guy out. Yeah. Check him out, because you missing something. He's up to way more than you can think.
He stretches us in ways that we'll never imagine, right? But it don't always feel good, but when you, like you said, when you get to know God and get to know his character, you'll know that God got to take you through something to get you to something, right? And so you begin to be grateful. And when you understand that God wants you to find contentment in all seasons, in all situations, like, you know, then that what makes the relationship better too, you know, because you'll know, okay, seasons change. Now I'm in a season of testing, or I'm in a season of this, you know, and then your attitude becomes, okay, God, what are you trying to show me from this? What am I supposed to be learning in this season, you know? But I would say, like, once I stepped out of, you know, the whole religious lifestyle, like, and got to seeking God on a one-on-one type, like an intimate level, he's shown me so much within his character that you would never even guess. Like, you would never think that God has a good sense of humor, you know. You would never think that he's as loving as he is. I mean, yeah, people say, oh yeah, God is love and this, that, and the other, but to actually get in close and feel it, you know, like firsthand, and to like build with him, it's he's something else. He is a trip. I tell him all this time, I'm like, God, you something else.
Yeah, he is. And the thing about it, once we realize that he brings challenges our way just to see how far we'll go with it. Because he already know how you build. Mm-hmm. You know, he already know. And he just seen what you're going to do with it.
Yeah. And one thing that God has shown me too is, like, because like another misconception that society tells us is that, like, we're supposed to be okay all the time, you know, or we're supposed to be a specific way with God. But me, I'm really like, God has shown me, like, no, I want you to be your real, true, authentic self. Don't try to be that version that you think I want you to be. Like, no, be you, you know? And so people don't understand, like, you can go, like, I go to God real raw and uncut. Like, you know, sometimes it be stuff that God asks me to do, and I be like, God, I ain't really feeling that. I'm gonna do it, but I don't really like this, you know? I'm gonna do it though, but you know, and he just wants that intimacy with us, and wants that. I treat him like my best friend. I mean, because he is, you know. Sometimes I'll go throughout my day, God, what you doing? You know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's amazing. And once you get out of that religious box, you really understand, you know, what he has for your life, man. You will. You'll start seeing stuff. You'll be like, what in the world? You know. I'd be like, because, you know, I'd be like, these religious folks, man, they hurt people just like everybody else do. They talk people in a kind of way, treat people in a kind of way. You know, come on, man. We're more better than just religious. You know, God is bigger than any religion, any name, title, or whatever you want to be at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And you know what, and God has like shown me that, like, he's shown me like how, because the truth be told, like, religion is very controlling, right? And when you walk with God intimately, like, it's so much freedom in that, you know. It's so many things that religion told me that I can't do that God is like, you know, that's not even what it's about, like, you know. But God shook me loose from all that stuff, and he's showing me a different way of walking, you know, with him. And one thing that people don't realize is we all come together as one body, but your walk is going to look different than my walk. My walk is going to look different than the next person's walk, you know? So pretty much just be like who you are. Like, that's your gifting, is to be who you are. And we're supposed to come together, you know, as one body, you know? And God has shown me that, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, because, you know, that's the way it is. I think one of the biggest things that helped me with my relationship with God is all through my years, you know, even as a kid, been told all of this stuff, and then getting older, then pack it up and moving out of your town and going to another city, doing this and that. And it's like, I'm alone. And when I'm alone, all I got is him.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was my most powerful moments. Mm-hmm. You know, instead of saying, "Oh man, I'm out by myself," you know, like, "Oh man, we're good." You know, we're good. And then I can hear him clear. I don't have people in my ear. Nobody's calling me saying, "Let's go out to eat." Nothing, because I don't know nobody. You know, so it's just like it was just me and him. And I think those are the most powerful moments that I've had when I had to walk alone.
And you know what it is? Because like you said, you can hear him more clear, you know, and you ain't got to worry about this person and how they feel. It's just God is me and you know, where you want me to go, what you want me to do, you know, how you feel, or, you know, it's just, and that's what it's supposed to be. The focus is supposed to be like on getting stronger, like within him. And I love moments like that, you know, even when I like am kid free for a few hours. I'm like, okay, God, it's me and you, you know, because I ain't got to worry about my son in my ear. And I'm like, okay, God, it's me and you, you know, and that's exciting. Like, I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So now that you look back on that moment where you were suicidal, if you could say something, if you could say one thing to that person, what would it be?
If I could say one thing that somebody's going through suicidal thoughts or
No,
things like,
I don't mean to interrupt you. If you could say something to that old version of yourself, what would it be?
oh, to the old version of myself,
Yeah.
man, you should get yourself together. I'm hard on me.
Yeah.
I'm hard on me. But what I can say is that I think that the old version of me, in thinking that way, I was really going to let myself down. I was really going to let a lot of people down. We were going to let a lot of people down. And I'm grateful that there's two versions of me. That was that weak me, and that was that strong me. That was that one person that thought one way in their mind, but there's another version of me that understood the voice of God when he spoke to me. You know, and I think that's the biggest part, is that if I did not understand God's voice, now I'm pretty sure he can still break through and figure it out and maybe listen to it and make me understand it, but I did also know him. I knew his voice when I heard it. So with that being said, I understand why it didn't happen. I knew God had something for me. And it's kind of weird, like, okay, the old me was actually going to do this. But now I look at it now down the road, I say the old me pretty much helped the new me bring a testimony to everybody that listens to me.
That's awesome. And you know what? God is so wise in the way that he does stuff, because look at how he gave you those dreams 3 nights in a row, right? Because it's no such thing as coincidences. Only God is this mysterious, right? Look at how he gave you the same dream 3 nights in a row so that you knew it was him, you know, so that when you were in that moment, he could say, you remember all those people? So he could take you back to that, to where it kind of confirmed. I'm not gonna say kind of, it did confirm that it was him. That right there, you know, was another element of like confirmation for you, because who would have known that you had the same dream 3 nights in a row? And for him to come in, exactly, and for him to drop in at that opportune time and point you and direct your attention back to those dreams that you already knew was from him. You know, he's so thoughtful.
Oh yeah.
He's so thoughtful. So let me ask you this. Now let's say we do have a listener that is suicidal or has been contemplated because they feel like they're just at a dead end. What would you say to this person?
I would say that you have so much more to live for. Just because you're at a dead end, just because you're in a tough situation in your life, that doesn't mean your life is over. It doesn't mean your life is over. You're in a position you're in because God is getting ready to do something in your life, and he's finna make something happen spectacular. But you can't give up on you, because he has not given up on you. You can't. It's not worth it at the end of the day, and you're gonna miss the best thing ever in your life if you're contemplating suicide or anything like that. You got to understand you are worth more than you ever know. You're worth more than you ever know. And you're blessed. At the end of the day, you may not feel like it, but every day you get up and you can look in that mirror every day, you're blessed. You are still here because God got you here for a specific reason. You waking up every day still here because God got a specific plan for your life. You just can't give up on yourself. When it's all said and done, you can't give up on yourself.
That's good. So, so what is it that you do now?
I do a little bit of everything now. I still, well, with the podcast, Real Talk Reginald D, I still work with the company I work for. Been, what, 18 years, going on 19 years now. Trying to get my exit route with that and get in this, open this thing up wide open with the motivational speaking and things like that. The podcast, it's been, I think, since October 2023. You know, my wife encouraged me to start this podcast, Real Talk with Reginald D, and it has been amazing. It has kept us busy, you know, because she manages everything for me, and you know, at the end of the day, but it's ranking in the podcast the top 1%, and it's ranking in 87 countries. And I think the other day we ranked number 49 in the top 80 inspirational podcasts globally. So it's been a blessing, and it's my calling.
Yeah.
You know, when it's all said and done, it just don't happen this quick like this, man. It's crazy. It's taking off, and I'm really blessed and honored by it, and thank my wife for actually pushing me to do this. So I stay busy, you know, but I love it. I love it because every day it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. I know where I came from and where I am today. I'm like, man, I'm good. If God don't do nothing else for me, I'm good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I got two more questions for you. The first one being, let's say we have a listener that's contemplating on starting a podcast, but they are kind of like on the fence about it. What would you say to that person?
Well, starting a podcast, what I think one of the biggest success that I've had, or we've had, is that you have to talk about, or whatever you're going to do, it's got to be your passion. You know, just starting a podcast, and I've heard a lot of stories, people just start a podcast just doing whatever. It doesn't last because it's not their passion. You know, if you listen to my podcasts, I have 10-minute clips once a week, you know, for the most part. I may interview somebody, this and another, which is, you know, a little longer, but for the most part, it's got 10-minute motivation. You know, it drops every Tuesday. But my thing is, what people don't understand, and I think that's why God has moved it the way it has moved, is that it takes me all week long to come up with 10 minutes for the stuff, because I got to hear him.
Yep.
I could talk 10 minutes all day, like quick, boom, 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 it's over with. But I have to hear him. I mean, so it takes me all week in meditation. I've got to hear something and things like that. And that's my passion. What I talk about, you know, inspiring people to keep moving, keep going, don't give up, don't quit in life. So you got to make your podcast, whatever you do, your passion. It's got to be your passion. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I believe you're going to be successful with it.
That's awesome. So one last thing, if people want to work with you, how can they find you?
Well, you can go to Real Talk Reginald D. You can pull it up on the website. You can reach out to me. You can request, you know, motivational speaking. You can request life coaching or anything you want to request. You know, you just go to the website and you can request, and we can talk about it and see what we got going on and what you want to do, and then we can work it from there.
That's awesome. I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I appreciate this.
Well, AJ, I appreciate you. It's cool hanging out with you, man. That's
you like
cool.
It? You're welcome.
I like this. I like this.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I did too. And you're welcome back anytime.
Okay. Same here. I'll get something together and see if I can get you on my show, if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I sure will.
That'll work. Okay. Well, I appreciate the time.
No problem.
You know, made me feel good. Now I'm a little hyped up. I probably can't go to sleep tonight, you know.
That's good. That's good. I like that. Well, thank you so much to everyone that tuned in for joining us on Let the Healing Begin podcast. Couple ways that you can support before you head out. You can head on over to www.greatergrowthllc.com. Support us there. You can also head to amazon.com, purchase a copy of Back in My Day by Asia Wilson. And also you can check out our link tree to check in about the mentoring, life skills programming. And then last but not least, you can also head on over to healingasalifestyle.org, join the All Women's online community. Thank you so much, and until next time.